We're talking the magic of holiday movies. Get ready to blast off into the world of entertainment with Pop Culture Planet. Hello, and welcome to our Season 1 finale of Pop Culture Planet. I just want to thank everyone who has joined us every week. I just feel like we've had so many amazing conversations. And as you know, I'm Kristen Maldonado, and each week we are joined by incredible experts for analytical pop culture discussions. And in this episode, I am thrilled to be joined by the Lady KB. Hello. Austin Burke.
What's up?
And Rachel Reviews, Rachel Wagner. How are you guys doing?
Ho, ho, ho.
Yes. I love how we're all, we're in the Christmas spirit.
Yes. So fun. It's almost here. Yes, December is almost here, but we've been celebrating for like 2.5 months on my podcast. So it's very exciting.
Exactly. Now
I have been celebrating for the entire month of November. After my birthday happens, I go full force. So yes.
So fun.
I don't know why, but like October 30th, I was like, I'm ready for Christmas. Yeah. I was like, I'm gonna be the Grinch for Halloween. I'm ready for Christmas. I'm gonna steal Halloween and go straight to Christmas.
I have a feeling Christmas is going to be full force this year too. Yeah. Obviously, circumstances, right? But everybody, it seems that they're in the Christmas spirit even more so this time of the year. So I'm pretty excited about it.
Yeah, we gotta bring some joy to the world,
Yeah, seriously.
We need it. We deserve it. We deserve it.
Yeah. Yes. Now, I'd love to start off with you guys' entertainment origins. KB and Rachel, we've had you guys on before, so we know a little bit. But if you want to share, a little bit more about what you guys are up to, and Austin, what your entertainment origins, kind of where your love of pop culture and entertainment came from. And so let's start off with you, Austin, since you're new to the show.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been watching your show and admiring it for quite some time. I appreciate you having me on here. And my love for movies started with movies like The Dark Knight, No Country for Old Men. And then I get into college and I realize I don't want to be a reporter. I want to talk about movies. So I start taking film classes and I buy a green screen and make videos in my closet, right? And then it turns into what it's turned into now. And it's just grown so much over the last couple of years. And a year like 2019, where I attempted to see as many movies as I could and just embrace pop culture. And then obviously Rotten Tomatoes and all of the incredible things. 2020, not a great year, but all the great things that have happened this year in terms of my career and quitting my other job for YouTube. It's just been a series of events that's kind of led to where I am now. And I'm happy to be able to meet people like you all through this and make some really good friends in the midst of it all. And, 2020, a year that obviously we've mentioned hasn't been the best. One thing that's kept, I think, all of us going is our love for movies, pop culture, TV shows. In my case, lots of Netflix. So that's what's kind of keeping me going this time of year. And I'm just happy to get to talk about it any chance I can.
Absolutely. Well, congratulations on Rotten Tomatoes and on going full time. That's so exciting.
Thank you so much.
And I got to ask you, what has been your favorite Netflix project that has come out this year so far?
Oh, this year so far. Oh, man. I mean, there have been some great ones, but I loved The Trial of the Chicago 7. I did. It's actually my #1 movie on the year so far. And I believe I'm at 220. 221, something like that. So I've already watched, crazy enough, no movies in theaters. I've watched more movies at this point this year than I did last year. It's just a lot of like VOD stuff. That's kind of where I'm getting all my movies, but
I guess it's
crazy,
too, right? You're home.
Yes.
You got the living room.
Yes. And for the first time in my life this year, I started getting screeners, and that was new territory for me. I'm like, oh, this is cool. Getting fancy now. So, and thanks to someone like Rachel who helped me out with some of those things. So she's had my back for a while, but it's been really fun for sure.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Speaking of Rachel, now is your time. It is Christmas time. This is like your bread and butter. Tell us what are you up to, and feel free to share more about your entertainment origins as well.
The other day I was considering getting like green and red Gatorade because I figured it was just on theme. I needed it right now because it has been very intense watching all of these Hallmark and Lifetime holiday films and Netflix and everything else. And I've already watched and reviewed 44 Christmas movies for 2020.
Wow. Just Christmas movies.
Just Christmas movies.
Wow.
Yeah. So far for 2020, for TV films and feature films, I have viewed 237.
Wow.
So,
Yeah.
but
That
where
is
Austin has me completely beat is he has all of these series that he watches. I mean, that blows my mind.
I'm a crazy person. It's not normal. Don't do it. I do not recommend it. It's not fun.
like multiple in a day.
Yeah. I don't sleep. It doesn't happen, but it's okay.
Yeah. So it has been a really interesting season for Christmas movies. And I think that Hallmark has just been crushing it. Their movies have all been good. There's not been a single one that I joke on the podcast that a movie took me to a dark place if it's one I don't like. And there hasn't been any movie that took me to a dark place yet so far this season. And I don't know if it's just because like I need these movies now more than ever because it's been such a hard year, but I feel like I have seen enough of them to be able to say, no, they're actually genuinely good this year. And I think maybe because honestly, they had a few more months to like work on those scripts and stuff like that before starting production. I think it helped a little bit, but the Netflix movies have not been as good. I don't think this season. The holiday movies have been kind of disappointing for Netflix. Even something that I gave like a marginal fresh to, like Jingle Jangle, still wasn't as good as I wanted it to be.
We will definitely get into that more soon. But moving over to KB, girl, how are you doing? What are you up to? How's your entertainment origins? Would love to hear more about what you're doing.
Yeah. So I've been on before. So I mentioned I've probably been doing this now for about 5 years. Yeah, it's 5 years now, almost 6 actually. And so, just doing a lot of podcasting. I just recently started doing some YouTubing, and mostly I'm a writer with a bunch of different publications. So this season has been good. It's been crazy. I have been rewatching my favorite holiday movies. So, I've only seen actually kind of a handful of new ones. I'm supposed to dive into that this week, but I had like a crazy week of other non-holiday content to watch. And so now I'm like, okay, I really just want to like have the warmth of a great holiday movie back to back and be free. So yes, I am looking forward to it. Just right after this week of normal non-holiday related content ends, I will happily do that. But I have a podcast called the Color Grade Podcast, which Kristen is going to join. And she's going to be on one of our episodes, and we are going to talk about Selena, the series on Netflix. So
I have thoughts, so I cannot wait.
Yes.
Yeah.
One of the hard things I think about working in our space, at least for me, is that there's so many new things to cover that you don't get to rewatch movies very often.
Yes. So I strategically during Halloween season chose to rewatch every day during October. I watched a holiday movie that I love and a Halloween movie that I love every day. So, just to be able to have that comfort for sure.
Yeah, once a week I do family movie night, and so I get to rewatch a movie for that. But aside from that, that's really just the once a week that I get to that. But I don't get to see It's a Wonderful Life. I don't get to see Elf or, all the classics because there's just only so many movies one human can watch.
Yes. Only so many hours in a day.
Yeah.
Totally.
So January, I sometimes try to watch some of those ones I missed, but
yeah, that's a good idea. All right, so today we are diving into the magic of holiday movies, and just to kind of start off, I'd love to hear from you guys of just like, why do you think holiday movies are so popular around this time? Like, like we've said, they've made so many Hallmark and Lifetime movies around this time every year, and this year they've made like the most they've ever made. And also, do you have any holiday movies that you just think about when you think about your childhood? Like any old favorites?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was like, go ahead, Rachel. Yes. I think that the magic of the holidays really is just because it reminds us, for most of us, of happier times, just an opportunity to spend time with family. Somehow when you get older, it becomes about romance and in the holiday season. I mean, it's just everything kind of I love about Christmas. And so ironically, I hate Christmas music. Like, I hate it. But I love Christmas and I love Christmas movies. But like every year pre-COVID, I would throw our family's holiday party. And I would never have Christmas music on the playlist, but we would have a ton of holiday films kind of just playing in the background. And so it just reminds me kind of just a great time to be, in relation with those that you love and to just spend some time together doing the things you love or doing nothing at all and wearing crazy matching pajamas and eating all of the good things. So as a child, I adore Home Alone. I don't even know why I said as a child. I adore it still. I adore Home Alone. It's like one of my staple holiday movies, but growing up, I loved it. I'm going to say some movies that are kind of maybe also that I adapted into my adulthood, not just childhood, but The Preacher's Wife is one of my favorites. I've always adored that one. Elf is a fantastic holiday film. I laugh nonstop. And I love the holiday. I do. I think the cast is extraordinary, and I always just want to swap lives with someone in Europe, and to have a fleeting romance in the middle of, a random small town in England where, I need to chop my own wood and make my own fire every day. Yes, it's a dream come true. So yes, for sure.
Amazing. What about you, Austin?
Yeah, I mean, it's just a beautiful form of escapism. And I think Christmas being, I'd say Halloween and Christmas being most people's favorite holidays, it tends to get me in the spirit, even when, it's early October or mid-October, when you shouldn't really be in the Christmas spirit. But I watch a Christmas movie, I'm like, well, we're close enough. Let's put up the tree, even though I haven't done that yet, and all of these wonderful things. But my favorite Christmas movies, a lot of them do boil down to the ones that I watched as a kid. So you mentioned Home Alone. That's the one for me. I love Home Alone, but then a movie hit me like no other Christmas movie had hit me. And it's another one that you mentioned. It's Elf. I watch Elf, no joke, 2 times a year at least. It is the funniest movie I've ever seen. It's gotten to the point to where I'm putting it in my favorite movies of all time because it's so ridiculous, but it embraces that so well. And it's kind of beautiful in its own weird way, the way that it wraps up and puts you in the Christmas spirit. And then I say it all the time. I'm a defender. Listen, I know it's not the best movie to look at. It's kind of, the visuals. And Jim Carrey's The Grinch. Listen, I quote that movie so much. That's it. I'm not going. I do it all the time. And it is so fun to go back and rewatch just to see his performance alone. So those are the kind of the movies for me. And I really hope, we talked, not being able to rewatch movies earlier. I hope I get a chance to watch those 3 films because those are always the ones I tend to go back to every single year.
Absolutely. Yeah, The Grinch. Jim Carrey is so funny in that.
So funny.
He's so talented. Like, oh my gosh, The Grinch.
Yep.
It's perfect for him. Even just his facial expressions, the tone of his voice, everything. He's like the perfect Grinch.
It's perfect.
Definitely.
I agree.
What about you, Rachel?
Yeah, I think there's something really powerful about traditions that human beings, that we need traditions. We need things we can count on every year. And the holidays, whatever holiday you celebrate, they're all holidays about giving and thinking about other people more than yourself. And so I think that's really, really important and helps us to be able, people that it's actually something in like sociology and psychology, that if you're de-traditioned, if you don't have that as part of your life, like that's not a healthy thing. And so it's really important that you have those traditions. And that's why I think that there's so much about Christmas that's so special to so many people, or Hanukkah, or whatever holiday you celebrate during this time of the year. And so for me, I love all the ones that you've already mentioned. But some of the others that I think of is Charlie Brown Christmas is something that is so comforting. And when they were not going to be airing it, I actually did a blog post about it because it made me sad, because that was something that once a year we, as a nation, gathered and talked about the real Christmas message of Luke 2. And I know everybody doesn't necessarily believe in that, but the fact that there was one time in a year where that was expressed and we shared it together was powerful to me. And I love that. I love that short. And then also I love the original animated Grinch, How the Grinch Stole Christmas short.
Yes.
So funny. The way they use that song is hilarious. I wouldn't touch you with a 49.5-foot pole is hilarious. And then also I do love Home Alone. Home Alone was the first comedy that I ever really connected with. I saw it when I was 10. And I just remember just laughing my head off in the theater. I thought it was the funniest thing. I still love it. But then also A Muppet's Christmas Carol was one that was 92. Yes. I was 11 when that movie came out. And I just love the whole story of Ebenezer Scrooge and him gaining redemption. There's no lost causes, that anybody can be saved, that there's humanity in anybody. I love that. So all those, I think they're just a really important part of this whole message of giving and kindness, and that we get and need this time of year.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, for me, I'm a kid at heart. So like the holiday season is just like that time when you get to be a kid again, no matter how old you get, and go back to like those movies and the traditions and the memories that you had when you were young. And so like, I remember, well, speaking of Christmas music, I love Christmas music, but we have like specific albums that we would listen to. The Gloria Stefan Christmas album, we would bump that while we're decorating the tree. Tori Kelly recently came out with a wonderful Christmas album. If anyone's a Tori Kelly fan, definitely recommend. But then for Christmas movies, I remember my brother would play Jingle All the Way on repeat, and he would be like, "It's turbo time, accessories sold separately, battery not included," and do the whole bit. And so now I know it because he did it so much when he was little. One that I rewatched recently that I'm like, man, this holds up. A Diva's Christmas Carol. Vanessa Williams. Oh my goodness. Yeah. The music, so good. Just so much fun. And
clever.
Yeah, and I love I just love, like, I know the Netflix Christmas movies have been a little this year, but in general, I just love that whole Netflix cinematic holiday universe. And the fact that they do interweave the stories, I'm like, yes, I love it. Like Princess Switch 2, my favorite holiday movie of the year.
Oh, really?
I
haven't seen it yet.
It's my favorite from Netflix.
It's on my list.
Yeah, It's one of their good ones, I feel like. The other ones...
I watched a New York Christmas wedding. Sorry. The titles are also exceptionally long this year on Netflix. I'm like, what is this? I watched that one, but that's the only one in addition to Jingle Jangle that I've seen on Netflix so far.
I'll tell you, they had a really good show that Rachel and I talked about, Dash and Lily. Yeah. That show is
Kristen
magnificent.
Knows.
Oh,
I told her the moment I watched it, I was like, Kristen, you need to watch this show. It's so good. I'm obsessed with it. I love everything about Dash and Lily. Love everything. So good.
Me too.
Yeah, there was one on Hallmark Channel called Never Kiss a Man in a Christmas Sweater. That gets the long title.
I'm going to start abbreviating these films. Like, oh my gosh.
Makes Twitter very difficult.
But speaking of Dash and Lily, since we all like unanimously loved it, like let's talk a little bit more about it. I mean, this is a fun, a holiday TV show, and I thought what was cool about it was that yes, it was about Christmas, but also they like interweaved some other holiday stuff within there. They did some Hanukkah stuff. Mm-hmm. And I'm a Lily, like 100%. Like, I loved her, like, optimism and just how, like, goofy she was, and that holiday sweater. I would wear that.
I could see you wearing it, honestly.
She is the best, like, in the last couple of months, the best character. Just so bright and happy and bubbly. But it also showcased different sides of her character, what she had to deal with, her past. and multi-dimensional, something you often don't get with these Netflix Christmas. It's like they don't try too hard, but this one had everything going for it. It's coming of age, it's romantic comedy, it's Christmas. I mean, the show had everything, man. I don't know how you don't like that show. It was awesome.
Honestly, I feel like it's because it's a book to screen adaptation that,
true.
They had like really good kind of bare bones, good foundation. But for me, I mean, like, obviously I have lived in New York for 7 years. So there's nothing like New York City, like during holiday season. And so just to get to see it from the lens of these two kids kind of running around the city and the magic that they create, I just love it. And I love the idea of them getting to know each other via journaling and not actually seeing each other and trying to figure out, if they even wanted to keep going or meet or, end up in a relationship. And I love that it goes wrong, honestly, because that is kind of the realistic part of it. Like, you meet, you're underwhelmed, or, in this case, Lily figures out who he is before he figures out who she is. And he's like, oh, and then by the time he figures out, who she is, she's making out with someone else. So, it's just like, those things. Yes.
Yeah. Like I'm from New York too. And so to just, be like, wow, we might not necessarily get that kind of Christmas this year. Like it felt like we got to watch it on screen. So at least we got like a little bit of that New York Christmas. And also I just loved that I love in general how Netflix has really been pushing the envelope with their diversity and representation. Yeah. We're following a half Japanese family for the holidays. I'm like, that's so cool. I have not seen a holiday project like that before. And I love that they're doing that across the board. Like Halloween, we got to see, Hispanic and Black kids in the Bronx, which is where like a lot of my family is from. And so I'm like, oh, representation. I love it. I feel the connection. And like Jingle Jangle, like all these movies where we're like actually seeing like real diversity, because I feel like when I look back at all the, whether it's Halloween or Christmas or just like these holiday-ish movies that I grew up with, I'm like, none of them are people like, with my background or, we're all following the same types of people. And so it's so cool to be able to finally see like these stories being told. And I feel like Netflix is doing like an incredible job with that.
Yeah. And really all the networks are stepping up when it comes to diversity, representation, whether it's people with disabilities being represented, whether it's people of all different cultures, races, and they still have room to grow, but compared to previous years, it is way better night and day. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I
just look at 5 years ago, and we talked about this, Rachel. Dash and Lily, it could have been a cast of all white actors, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm sure the show would have been fine for what it was, but now we get the cultural aspect of what we got with her character in the show, and so many new dynamics between the characters that I think make a show like that better. So it's nice to see Netflix kind of almost head the charge with all the studios, because I see that a lot with Jingle Jangle. I mean, it's just great what they're doing with all of their movies and these films and these television shows. I think for the most part are at least delivering on that and proving that you can have a diverse cast of actors and still make it a really good show. I don't know why that was ever a question in the first place, but I just think it's great what they're doing. I really do.
Yeah, it should never have been in question that people would watch or people wouldn't connect with this body of art, because, it represents what the world looks like. So, I mean, I am just so glad that now, for me, I mean, to Kristen's point, growing up and kind of seeing these holiday movies, all of my favorite holiday movies really growing up just featured white families. And so I still enjoy them. I love them, but our house does not look like that. And so, it was great to get The Preacher's Wife, because I was like, oh, yay, kind of here's a Christmas story that I can actually relate to because the family looks like mine. And then Jingle Jangle, it's nice that the kids will be able to have that still that same type of representation, and not just in a holiday film, but there are a lot of things that happened in that movie. I mean, with him being an adventurer and them getting STEM, and the girl just being like a mathematician and a mathematical genius who creates kind of her own formulas. It's just being able to see those things. And so for me, actually, one of my favorite parts of Dash and Lily is when they go to church on the night that they are supposed to leave, and they're having kind of their ceremony as a family. I was like, oh, it's really nice to see their family and their tradition and what that looks like and how they're celebrating. And, even though it was kind of cut short and, there was some fighting. Outside of that, it's just good to see. It's good to have this type of representation. And so I'm just hoping we get more. I mean, I want a full Latinx family Christmas.
Yes, that's what I want to see next.
See it.
Yes, I mean for Christmas at my house, we eat penne. We got all the really good food. So I want to see people eating that for Christmas in my next holiday movie.
Yeah, there was a fun one on Lifetime that was set in New Mexico called Christmas Yule Blog, and it is all about. They make tamales and they have. There's a lot of Latinx culture in that one. That might be a fun one.
Oh, that's the one where the girl gets assigned to New Mexico. Like everyone else gets assigned to basically somewhere amazing around the world. And then they're like, not saying New Mexico is not amazing, but it's literally like, you're going to Brazil. You're going to New Mexico.
Yeah, seriously. She works for a travel company and the lady's like, you go to Rio, you go to, she's like, you go to New Mexico.
It's like, oh. And she really looks at her like, wait, what?
Yeah. And because they have, instead of the cookie making scene, they have a tamale making scene. And they have, instead of a traditional ugly Christmas sweaters, they have ugly Christmas ponchos, which I'd never seen before.
Yeah, I don't know if that's really a thing.
I don't know. It's not maybe not the most accurate, but nevertheless, it was an effort. They tried.
No,
next one, get some Latinx writers, and we'll.
Exactly. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Exactly. Now, I'd love to talk a little bit more about like some of the different sort of companies that are doing the holiday movies and what we thought of them this year. There's Hallmark, Lifetime, Netflix. I feel like those are kind of like the big ones that are doing holiday movies, but also Hulu has some great stuff. So yeah, did you guys have any like thoughts on like the new, collection of holiday movies that have dropped from each different network?
I mean, I feel like Hallmark will always dominate only because they've just cornered the market, right? And so because you can watch a holiday film pretty much at any point in the year, they're doing it unlike anyone else. And like to Rachel's point, they have movies coming out every single day. Like no one is doing that. So I don't envision like Netflix going down that path either. Like I think Hallmark is definitely always going to be kind of the staple. And so for me and my friends, because we do a holiday movie watching party every year, our go-tos are always Hallmark. And then like second, it'll be Lifetime. And then next we'll probably check out Netflix. Hulu's trying, but I think that they don't have enough marketing behind it. Like I really haven't seen that much beyond Happiest Season, which I actually just watched yesterday. Mm-hmm. So I just watched that film. And so it has some very good representation for the LGBTQIA community. And so it's actually pretty funny. And so I watched that, but outside of that, I have no idea. Like I know Hulu has a bunch of older films that they keep on their platform, but I don't know of any more like new films that are going to be coming out on Hulu.
Yeah, I think maybe it's just Happiest Season is kind of like their big one this year, which it is a big one, but yeah, maybe they're not yet in that whole like creating their own.
They're probably like dipping their toe to see how people respond. Because I mean, to be fair, again, Hallmark definitely is number one in terms of like capitalizing on the market and having the most films. And they're churning out films like nobody else. And they're also filming like 24/7. And so, maybe Hulu is just trying to see how it's going to go for them.
Yeah, a lot of times people think that movies that aren't Hallmark are actually Hallmark, they're Lifetime or they're Up TV or one of the other, or Netflix, but everything, it's kind of like a tissue gets labeled a Kleenex, even though it's not a Kleenex brand. It's kind of the same things happening with Hallmark movies. They're just sort of synonymous with holiday films. But they've had a great slate. They have been just crushing it this season. I've liked every single movie to some degree or another that they put out so far. And I really especially loved Deliver by Christmas, which was one of their early entries. I thought it was so sweet. According to our rubric on Hallmarkies, I actually gave it a perfect score. because it's just,
Nice.
it was one of, it's, in my opinion, it's about as good as you're going to get.
Wow.
It's like, if you don't like this movie, then it's probably not the genre for you. This is it. So, it's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about you, Austin?
Well, I Netflix for me hasn't really, outside of Dash and Lily, and I was very surprised by Jingle Jangle. I didn't expect much from that, but especially, Key, who just dominated that villainous performance. I thought he was outstanding. That was a really fun movie, but Netflix really hasn't given me what I expect. I mean, even last year did anyone watch Klaus? Did anybody watch Klaus last year?
I love Klaus. You didn't like it?
No, I loved it. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Like last year, it was so many. I had one good movie after another good movie when it came to Christmas. I can't remember if Christmas Chronicles was last year or the year before, but I kind of enjoyed that one. And then this year, I expected their slate, and I haven't seen Christmas Chronicles 2 yet, so maybe that'll change my mind. But I'm very interested to see if they can pick up the pace, because every year they've had at least one that has really stuck out, and Jingle Jangle could be that one. But I'm hoping they give me something that maybe makes it like Klaus. That's an all-timer for me now. I'm going to go back and visit that every year. Hopefully we get another one like that this year.
Oh, really? So for me, I think I will revisit Jingle Jangle every year, because I thought I loved the music in it, and I just loved how they did it. And so I was like, I think I will revisit that every year for sure. It'll be a staple in our family.
I feel like for me, I think Dash and Lily and probably Princess Switch 2 were my favorite Netflix projects this year for the holidays. I wanted to love Jingle Jangle so much. I thought the music was awesome, but there was just something about it that I felt like there was a disconnect where some of the things just didn't make sense to me, especially at the end. I don't want to spoil anything for anyone, but I just felt like it kind of dragged a little bit for me. Some of the other holiday movies that have come out as well, like Christmas on the Square and things like that are coming out. Not my favorites of what they've done so far. So, I really love when they have that Netflix holiday cinematic universe, and really the only film this year that has done that was The Princess Switch 2. So I'm hoping that maybe in the future they'll just continue to add on to that universe, because it's kind of separate from, it's not like all of their Christmas movies are part of this universe. It's select ones that are in this kind of rom-com genre. But so those ones are the ones that I really enjoy, and kind of just seeing how they interweave.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do agree. I did go fresh on Jingle Jangle, but I do agree that the plot was a bit messy for my taste. I wish it had been a little bit better, but I did like the songs and the production, and it was fun enough for me to recommend. But I gave it a diamond ring in our preview show. I was very excited for it. Mm-hmm. So it was a little disappointing, but it's still fun to watch.
Yeah, I need to watch this second Princess. I did enjoy the first one, so I need to see what the second one is going to be about. Yeah, because you guys are hyping it up, so I'm okay.
Oh no, you can be I hate it now because you hyped it.
What if you didn't love the first one? Well, I like this one, but because it's the one movie I decided not to review because I didn't love the first one. So, do you think I'll like this one?
I mean, I think I thought it was fun to see a third Vanessa Hudgens, and that new character is very different from the other two. A lot more outlandish and out there.
She's very campy. It's very good, practically Cruella de Vil.
Yeah, but I
think if that's not your jam, it's very over the top.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know, Austin. If you love Scotland and you love the fashion of royal, then maybe you will enjoy it. But if you're I don't care so much about that, then it might not be. Yeah. It might not be for you. But
yeah, I felt bad because I saw your review this morning. I saw everybody's review, and everybody's kind of positive. I'm oh man, maybe I should have watched this movie, and it's just sitting there. So I'm oh, maybe I should watch it now. So I might give it a shot. I like Vanessa Hudgens too, so I may give it a chance.
Another good
Austin was I made the wrong choice.
I know. I feel so bad. I do.
Another good one on Netflix that's just a short is Alien Xmas, stop motion animation really cute about a alien that his people, all they do is steal things. They're klepto aliens. And he gets accidentally given to this little girl as a Christmas present, and he has to learn to not steal. And if you like Lilo and Stitch and stuff, it's really cute.
Cool.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
It's only 40 minutes. So
Okay. Interesting.
Is it already out?
Tomorrow, I believe.
Okay.
I believe it's tomorrow. Yeah.
Awesome.
Okay.
Yeah, I
have to watch
have to add that to my list.
Yeah.
I love short films are my jam, especially if you could get through something quick. So that sounds fun.
Yeah.
Now, I'd love to talk through, I feel like not every Christmas movie, but a lot of Christmas movies have, this kind of wholesome formula, these certain tropes that we see. And I'd love to talk through them a bit and just like, kind of, what do you think is like the formula for like the perfect holiday movie?
Okay, is this like the perfect formula or just the formula? Because I feel like those are two different questions, because a lot of times like the formula, I wish they would shake it up a bit and kind of change it up in some of my holiday films, give me a little bit more. Yeah. But I expect a certain formula, and that formula is someone from a major city must go back home to do something for their job, but also it's during the holidays. And also the town that they're from loves Christmas and basically is a Christmas town and only sells Christmas items, which are like, how can this town thrive outside of the holidays? Sure. And then they meet someone and pretend that they don't like them and, end up falling in love. And then they have to move back home, essentially. 99% of them move back home. Occasionally, that, individual that they fall in love with moves with them back to the big city. But for the most part, they just realized what was missing in their life and they needed to be home again. And they find love and they quit their job. And that's it. But it's so magical. It's still magical though. Yeah, I'm like, I still love it. I will still watch every single time.
And somehow they only survive on hot chocolate and Christmas cookies.
That's it. No one's eating a meal. No one's eating a meal. We also on Christmas Day, can we talk about how we like never see the family eating? It's mostly like someone's chasing after someone in an airport, or someone's chasing someone down in a car, or someone left the tree lighting ceremony, because there's always a tree lighting ceremony.
Yeah, I joke on the podcast that you can only be from a big city in a Hallmark Christmas movie if you are a window designer or you're running a parade. Those are the only two jobs that are allowed. Occasionally, you'll have somebody who works in a department store, but in that case, then it's usually either a Scrooge element or they work for a bad man of business. So there's that. I mean, you get a lot of times, speaking of tropes, you get a lot of times they have the jerk boyfriend where you're thinking, why are you with this person? Like, what on earth? And of course their hometown hunk, their high school boyfriend is perfect. And I kind of joke that they have the bad man of business who they're obviously not supposed to be with. And then the hometown is the man of many jobs. So usually they end up, they're like a handyman, or they run a diner, and then they also like fix cars and help around the town in all these different ways and at the festival. And so I
call that person the hometown hottie.
Yeah, the hometown hottie, the man of many jobs. And you can't, you most of the time you get a promotion of some kind. And you can't accept that promotion. And it's always like, you need to be back here on Christmas Day. We're starting to work right on holiday. And I'm thinking, who is working on Christmas Day or Christmas, the day after Christmas? Like nobody, hardly anyone, unless you work in entertainment or something like that. And so anyway, there's those kinds of things. You also have sort of the tropes of like the terrible skating scenes. Because they shoot these movies in the summer, they have to try to make it somewhat wintry. And so they're a lot of times it's like, well, let's go to a skating rink. And sometimes those can be rough, especially particular actresses that are not good at skating. Pretty bad. But that's part of the fun of it. The spotting the tropes and the ridiculous nature of the movies is part of the fun of watching them and just being like, oh my gosh. you have chemistry between these beautiful actors and actresses, and it's just a good time for sure.
Yeah. I love these tropes. There's some girl on TikTok who just does like these Hallmark parodies of like Christmas movies. She's like, oh my gosh, Fred,
I love it.
My high school crush, and now, you know, and then at the end it's like, Fred, you're Santa? Like,
it's like, of course Fred is Santa. Fred is literally everyone in town, per Rachel's point. Fred does everything in town.
Yeah. And you got to love also the trope of bringing the boyfriend to the fake boyfriend or fiance to the family dinner. That's one of my favorites. Like, I got to hire someone to be my boyfriend.
Yeah. And then they fall in love.
That's one of my dreams in life, is to have a fake boyfriend.
Well, I was about to say, who gets a fake boy? Like, how does that even work? Do you not spend time with the people you love on the holidays? You just go with this stranger?
Yeah, they get high. It depends on the movie, but some of them, they have very different motivations. But I love that trope. It's so ridiculous that it makes me laugh. So,
do we tend to go easier? I feel like I've always been like this with Christmas movies, because, and we call them cliches sometimes, but because they hit all of these tropes, whether it's the ice skating or putting up the Christmas tree, or pretty much everything we see from that montage in Elf. Like, if these were not present, would I like the movie less? I feel like the Christmassy elements of these Christmas movies, almost like, would I enjoy a movie like The Christmas Chronicles if it wasn't about Christmas? Because it's kind of ridiculous. It's a little silly. Some of the acting's over the top, but because it's Christmas, it's almost like I give it a pass, but it's because it gets me in that spirit, right? And it could be because it's my favorite holiday. It could be because we love all of these tropes and they're relatable, which is what we want from watching a movie, right? We want to kind of place ourselves in that situation. So maybe that's what it is about Christmas movies, just kind of being a bit lenient in terms of, because I know some of the scores that I've given some of these movies, if it wasn't a Christmas movie, I would judge it just a bit harder. But because it deals with Christmas, I'm like, well, fun, joyful, delightful, gets me in the spirit. So I think that's what it is about Christmas movies for me, is they get me in the spirit. If they manage to do that, I can look past all of these things you all talked about. Sometimes I can just look past that, and that's okay. That's okay, because that's the goal of the movie, and we're kind of that target audience. So I love Christmas movies so much. It's my favorite time of the year.
Yeah, we were actually talking about that recently, of just like, are we more lenient with Christmas movies? Because like, especially around Halloween, we were kind of, it kind of came up during one of my Halloween episodes of the podcast, where we were like, you know, Halloween, I feel like we are very, very like critical of those films, any like kind of movies that come out around October.
Me too.
And then the minute it gets to Christmas, it's like, oh, this is great. You know? And like, everything that you would nitpick, you like don't as much. And it's like, why do we do that? You know, is it because there's so many options that, like, you know, you've thrown as much crap on the wall as you want, you know, like there's so many Christmas movies that like, it just doesn't even matter anymore? Or like, you know, why are we so much more critical of like, you know, movies around Halloween or other movies than Christmas ones? And is it just the holiday spirit? I don't know.
You know,
I think that's what it is.
Yeah,
the holiday spirit.
True.
Yeah,
I do. And I was thinking about that. They had a fall movie at Hallmark where they tried to go all sort of fall harvest, which is fun. But they had one, and it was about a general store going out of business. And it was a terrible movie. I can't think of the name. It was Daisy Hills or something. Anyway, and I said on the podcast, I said, if this was a Christmas movie and this was a Christmas store, I would have been way more forgiving. And I don't know why that's true, but it is true. That it just, I don't know. There's just more whimsy at Christmas than fall harvest.
I mean, to be fair, I definitely still critique the writing, but I also feel like the writing is exactly what I expect it to be every time. Like, I anticipate the writing to be this way because it's a holiday film. And so, you know, I'm like, guys, hire me to write these films. I will add just a dash of spice to them. And we could like elevate them. We could elevate them to the next tier of Christmas movies. I'm telling you guys, hire me, Hallmark. I'll add a little zhuzh.
Yeah. They can be terrible. So there's definitely.
I mean, terrible to the point where I'm like, guys, did you realize that what you just said 5 minutes ago, you completely negated in the next scene? But like, sure. I mean, but it's Christmas, you know?
Yeah.
Or just be really bland and generic and if they don't have chemistry, that's a big key too.
So something that I just realized, I was having this conversation with one of my friends and fellow journalist who is also a Christmas person. Shout out to Rosie. She was like, have you noticed that there's no intimacy in Hallmark Christmas movies? She was like they don't even hold hands. They just get to the end and there's like a kiss maybe, or they just decide to hold hands and they're together forever. And I was like, oh my God, I never paid attention to that. Like, I mean, you know, with the Netflix ones, they go a little bit deeper, but like for the most part, the Hallmark and Lifetime ones, it's just like, I sometimes I watch them and I'm like, these two people don't even like each other. And then all of a sudden, you know, at the end they kiss and I'm like, oh, okay, sure. But like, I'm pretty sure y'all don't like each other, but okay.
Yeah. If we're lucky, there'll be an intimate dance to like, a Silent Night. You're like,
I love that there's a dance.
To Silent Night, which is perfect.
That was just
right?
last weekend. There was one. These movies are G-rated. They have very minimal intimacy of any kind, and that can get a little old. I admit it. And sometimes I like it to be a little bit more mature, I guess, a relationship. But yeah, friends of mine, they have a podcast called One Kiss Means Forever, and that's based on Hallmark, where one kiss means forever.
Yes, these people will end up together forever. And I'm like, oh my gosh, 30 seconds ago, you like didn't want to hold this hand. And now it's forever. Like, cool.
I hate to keep bringing up Dash and Lily. Oh, sorry. I was just going to say, I hate to keep bringing up Dash and Lily, but when we look at the writing there, if you can give two actors that much chemistry when they're not on screen together until 5 episodes in, that almost makes me want to criticize some of these other things even more, because it's like, I felt that chemistry here. Why can't I feel it in a 2-hour movie when they're on screen the whole time together? It's just these types of things. And I thought that was, you look at writing a screenplay, a script for a series like that, it's one of the best examples you could give, because the chemistry there was awesome.
Off the charts. I mean, even when they were not getting along towards, you know, the end of the episodes, and when, you know, they were just like, oh my gosh, you still knew that they were destined to be in this relationship. I'm not going to say destined to be together forever. They're like 10, but in terms of like destined to be in this relationship and to have this type of relationship. I mean, I was like, oh my goodness, like to the point where like even her brother was like, I don't even know this guy, but I think that you guys should go out. Like, and I was like,
chemistry. That's chemistry. Yeah, I agree.
One of the problems I think that they can have with these movies is they have the characters in sort of party planning mode, where they're planning some kind of festival or party the entire movie, and it just stays too corporate. So you don't even have any intimate moments as far as conversation, let alone physical intimacy. But when someone's just planning a work party, that it can be done well. I've seen it done well. But for the most part, those movies are really boring. It's just like, I'm not going to this party. Why do I care about them planning this party? This is not interesting. And so sometimes they can get caught in those kinds of traps where it's just like, there's no investment in this relationship because they've been at a distance as they should be. They're work associates. And so you have to get them together doing other things so that they have some intimacy, at least together. And it's not just sort of corporate. That I think you can have a problem.
I agree.
Definitely. Yeah. Let's take a look at, we got some comments up in here talking about some different Christmas movies and wanted to hear some of our thoughts on them. So let's check them out. Let's see. Got a comment from Kieran who says, I need to watch more of the Hallmark and Lifetime movies, but I'm currently working on rewatching all the Claymation style Christmas movies like A Year Without a Santa Claus and Rudolph Shiny New Year's. Ooh. I don't know that second one, but have you guys checked out those like older Claymation holiday movies?
Yeah, the Rudolph Claymation ones were actually really, I remember liking them a lot when I was younger, just because I don't know, they just are so pure. I feel like they're just so pure, and they're just, so easy to watch, and they're just so family friendly, and you see it. And I don't know, I really actually liked those growing up a lot.
Was that the one, the Year Without a Santa Claus? Is that like the Heat Miser one?
Yes.
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 The Miser Brothers.
Yeah.
So with Rankin Bass, it's kind of funny. So before I was on Rotten Tomatoes way back in 2015, I did a whole series on my blog on them, and I got kind of OD'd on them. I overdid it with them because I feel like they're better in sort of small doses, and then they all sort of start to feel the same when you watch one after another. And anyway, and so I was writing these blogs, and I got to Frosty the Snowman, and I was not in the mood, and I was just like, this is so lame, and blah 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 blah. And and so when I got added to Rotten Tomatoes, I just let them add my reviews. And then I get all these messages from like, how can you not like Frosty the Snowman? I'm like, oh no.
You're like, they're coming for me about my Frosty review.
And I'm like the queen of Christmas movies, and here I'm all grumpy about it. I was like, that was 2015. I'm sorry. And anyway, so
Also, that's hilarious that like that movie in general is so old that people are like looking for the reviews. Like,
I know,
who's bashing my favorite holiday movie?
So there we go. But they can be really fun. I have an affection for Nestor the long-eared donkey, which is just so melodramatic and over the top. But yeah, they're fun.
I'll tell you what, I loved them growing up. I really did. But I was a weird kid. I was afraid of the monkeys from Wizard of Oz and E.T. So something about, like, there was a certain age where I would watch these stop motion movies and be terrified. I was probably like 5 or 6 years old. I was terrified. And then I revisit a couple years later. I'm like, oh, these are actually really sweet. But there was a point in my life, I don't know why they scared me, but just those stop motion type and that kind of animation or those kinds of creatures. I don't know why. I was a weird kid, but I watch them now. And I think it's like the perfect, because they're so family friendly. It's like the perfect movie. Whenever I have kids, I kind of want to just show them to my kids, be like, hey, here's how it used to be. Everyone's all nice to each other. And the animation is so kind of classic at that point. So I think they're cute for what they are, for sure.
One underrated one is there is a stop motion film of Elf of the movie Elf, and it has the music from the musical Elf, and it has Jim Parsons playing Buddy, voicing Buddy, and it's really charming. And it's done in that old Rankin Bass style.
Do you know where you can watch that one?
Shoot, I should have looked it up, but it's available.
Jim Parsons is so talented.
He's great.
Yeah, it's a fun one. It's underrated, I would say.
We also have a comment from Ron Thomas who says, Tim Allen's The Santa Claus gets watched multiple times every year during Christmas.
It's a good one.
Yeah, I remember watching those and just like, I feel like that was like an iconic one that just, I mean, that's why I guess they made so many of them,
Yeah, I just saw that on TV the other night. They're all full force, Freeform is full force into the holiday spirit, replaying the classics. So yes.
I gotta say though, I didn't realize until like recently that the Santa Claus was really like clause, like a contract. I didn't understand that until I was an adult. That was like a reference to like, oh, he's a Santa contract. I had no idea.
Yeah,
I just thought I was spelling Santa Claus wrong.
So the animated Elf you can watch it on HBO Max.
Oh, cool.
Oh, nice.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, so for anyone who didn't know, the Santa Claus, it's a contract. We also got some comments about The Grinch Who Stole Christmas. Happy Dude says, I love When the Grinch Stole Christmas. And Connor Diaz says, even something like the Illumination Grinch, they still really enjoyed because it got them in the spirit. Yeah, it's interesting to see like just the different iterations of like a classic movie like that. Like they did The Grinch, the animated one, which was an adaptation of a book, and then they did the Jim Carrey one, and now they did this Illumination one more recently with Benedict Cumberbatch. So, I guess they're just, recreating that holiday cheer for new audiences, introducing new people to the Grinch and other projects like that.
Right.
We got a comment from Kevo G who says, "What are your thoughts on Die Hard? You consider it to be a Christmas film?" I feel like this is the topic that people bring up for Christmas. Is it a Christmas movie? What's the take?
I don't consider it a Christmas movie, but I've never watched it and gotten like a Christmassy feeling from it. But I can see how other people do. It's just like in my personal viewing experiences, I don't have like my Christmas feel when I watch Die Hard. I love Die Hard, but I just don't. I don't get those same feelings. So I don't know.
I guess I do. I guess I kind of do, but I've always called it like the most pointless debate when it comes to movies. Like, I get Marvel, DC, you know, you can say Halloween movies, Christmas movies, but I'm like, is Die Hard a Christmas movie? And I'm like, doesn't matter. I don't think it does. So I see it as a Christmas movie, but you know, Bruce Willis kicking some butt. That's why I watch it.
Yeah, I mean, I think you just say ho ho ho.
Right.
There you go.
So there we go.
I think why not? Let's open. I open up the Christmas movie family to all that want to participate. I'm fine with it. I think if it has a if Christmas is a part of the story, even if it's just a background part, I think that it's fine.
Yeah, why not? You know, the more the merrier.
Yeah, that's what I think.
Gavin Murphy says, "I don't know about you guys, but the Phineas and Ferb Christmas always holds a special place in my heart."
Oh, I've never seen it.
I've never seen it either.
It's so good, y'all.
You made a move. So was that when you watched?
Man. Oh my gosh, y'all! Listen, Phineas and Ferb. That was one of my shows. I guess not growing up because I was a little bit older. Probably shouldn't have been watching it, but it was so good. The Christmas special. It has every trope you want, and those two together, man. Just that time of the year, it's everything you need with Phineas and Ferb.
People love Phineas and Ferb. Yeah, they do. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that is true. There is a long tradition of holiday specials on television as well as as films. They're some of the best episodes of our favorite shows. I know the Christmas episodes, Mary Tyler Moore, some of my favorites. The very, very first episode of The Simpsons was a holiday episode.
Oh, yeah.
And so they have some really good ones on there. There's some really fun holiday specials.
The Rugrats, man.
Mm-hmm.
Rugrats, Hanukkah, and Passover.
Oh my gosh, so good. So good. I am a huge Rugrats fan, so yes.
I think
I just miss it.
Christmas episodes are really good. So yeah, there's a bunch.
And I will admit, even though again, Christmas music is not my fave, anytime Mariah Carey does a holiday special, I am definitely all in though. I will say that, I will watch her holiday specials.
I heard there's one coming out.
There is.
So excited. December 4th.
There's a new one coming out.
On Apple TV Plus.
I love the Mariah Carey memes that every time it hits December 1st, people are like, Mariah Carey, it's like raising out of the grave and all of these hilarious things. But they're good. As much as sometimes I don't want to admit, she's like, oh, the Christmas thing here. I start dancing. I'm like, daggone it, she's got another hit. So I like the Mariah Carey Christmas songs. I got a soft spot for them.
Yeah. We have a comment from 123 Rock Fan who says, a less popular movie I love to watch during Christmas is The Shop Around the Corner. Great classic film in my opinion. Have you guys seen it? And do you have any thoughts? Have you guys seen this one?
I have.
What do you think?
Yeah, it's great. Jimmy Stewart, and it has some really random stuff. It goes to some kind of dark places, but it's the You've Got Mail. People have seen that. That is a remake of Shop Around the Corner, except instead of letters, because Jimmy Stewart, he is writing this pen pal who he falls in love with. It turns out it's this woman that he works with who he can get along with, and so then when they did You've Got Mail, Nora Ephron, she turned it into their emailing, and they work in the same space. They both run bookstores, and I love both those movies. And it's even there's a movie. I mean, there's a musical shoot, all of a sudden it just lost my brain. There's even a musical version of the same story. It's an inherently romantic story. The idea of someone falling in love with you because of your writing, that's romantic. So it's great.
Nice.
I mean, that's the reason why we love Dash and Lily, though, right? It's romantic having someone fall in love with your writing. So
very true.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Ronan says that Black Christmas is his favorite holiday movie. The idea of a slasher during Christmas, like it's supposed to be the happiest time of the year, but it's sinister, is just so creative to me.
Mm-hmm.
I have not actually seen Black Christmas, but that does sound
Hopefully not the remake.
Ooh,
The original.
The musical is called She Loves Me, and it's really fun, by the way, with Zachary Levi in it. It's really good. Yeah. But yeah, there's a whole sort of genre of holiday horror movies that can be fun. I actually really enjoy Krampus. I like Gremlins. I like Anna and the Apocalypse. That's really fun. Speaking of musicals.
That's a good one. Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's fun. I love when they get into those like kind of like non-typical holiday movies as well. Like that's kind of, it's like something a little bit different and but still festive. We have a good question from Connor Diaz who says, what are some Christmas movies with non-traditional leads, romances? The upcoming film with Kristen Stewart looks great. Yeah, do you guys have any thoughts on that?
I mean, that's one of them. Happiest Seasons. It was fine. I mean, like it was definitely not my favorite holiday movie of the year. Just because one of the characters, I just shake my fist, the whole film. I'm like, so of course that has a little bit to do with the writing, but yes, or not a little bit, a lot of it. So that film was okay, but that's one. I will say A New York Christmas is another LGBTQIA and also a Latinx Christmas holiday film on Netflix. And it's really? Basically
which one?
A New York Christmas Wedding. I think that's the full thing. But basically it is just kind of the story of this woman who gets a second chance at the life that she's always wanted with the partner that she's always wanted. And so it's kind of like that. But and it involves, the similar Christmas tropes, an angel guiding, going back in the past, like a glimpse into the future, those types of things. So
Yeah, there's a couple. There was a movie last year called Season of Love, which was a queer holiday rom-com with women that was really sweet and fun. And then this year, there's actually two movies that there's on Lifetime. This is their first gay lead storyline-led film called The Christmas Setup that's coming. I'm very excited for it. It stars a actual in real life married couple. And
cool.
It's really cute. They have Fran Drescher playing the mayor and the mother-in-law or whatever. I am all about
She's
that.
fantastic. Yeah. Oh my gosh, she's fantastic.
So I love her. And so I'm really looking forward to that one. And then also there's one on Hallmark called The Christmas House, which looks really cute with Robert Buckley and Jonathan Bennett.
Yes, I saw that.
Yeah, and they're brothers in the story, but Jonathan Bennett's character, he and his husband are coming to back home for Christmas, and they are adopting a child. So that's a pretty bold move for Hallmark. You could definitely say it's too little too late. I get that, but it's something, and so we're pretty excited about it.
Yeah, I saw that trailer and I really, really want to watch it. I haven't seen the film yet, but I'm looking forward to seeing that because I like Robert and just even from his One Tree Hill days and then iZombie and then of course Jonathan from the iconic Mean Girls. So yes.
It looks pretty good.
Awesome. And then we're gonna wrap up and just get to just like some other miscellaneous questions at the end. But one last one here is from Ronald E. Smith. What's up, Ron? He says, hope you're all doing good. I have a question for you all. What's words of encouragement that you can give to keep the Christmas spirit up during this hard year? Anybody want to start? I think to me, especially with this holiday season, like you know, now's the time to like FaceTime more with like your loved ones, and like just if you want to be listening to Christmas music and watching Christmas movies starting Halloween, do it. Like put up your Christmas decorations early, like do whatever makes you happy, you know, self-care, and just, you know, like I feel like now's just the time to like do whatever makes you like the happiest and just like reconnect with people. Sometimes I just feel like talking to people on the phone. So I'll just like call my cousins or friends that I haven't talked to in a while and just be like, today's a talking day. What's up? You know, sometimes you got to do that.
Yeah, I mean, I'd echo that and just say doing the things that make us happy, even in the smallest of ways. I think that's the only thing that we can do right now. You know, it's a super challenging time this year. And I think realistically, we're probably headed to another like lockdown. So really just finding joy with those people that we are hunkering down with, you know, kind of during our lockdown, that are in our families and in our homes, and just, you know, watching content that's joyful. There's a plethora of content for everyone. I mean, we talked about a lot of our favorite films, holiday and otherwise, and there's something for everyone, truly. Like, even if I didn't like a film that Rachel suggested, I probably liked one that Austin did. I mean, like, there are just so many films out there. So just continue to watch things and stay encouraged and try to just do small things that make you happy. And also self-care, always, whatever that looks like. If you need to take a walk outside the block with your mask on, do that. Get some fresh air. Just kind of do small things that make you happy. That's all we have right now. And that's what matters. Spending time with those that we love and trying to reconnect with them via FaceTime, per Kristen's. FaceTime, phone calls, all of that. So yeah.
Yeah, I think that we have these things that, oh, well, that's not okay to do alone. That's not okay to do alone. That's not. And we need to get rid of that. We need to be comfortable in 2020 celebrating the holidays alone, and to make that an empowering moment for you, to make it an empowering experience, or with the people that if you're lucky enough to have other people with you in this crazy experience. Whereas for me, I put up my Christmas tree this last weekend. I'm the only one that's going to enjoy that, but that's fine. And that's great. And it's worth doing. It's worth putting in the effort to make experiences that are just for you and you to enjoy. And you can share it on social media so everyone gets to enjoy it vicariously through you. Mm-hmm. But I think we need to get rid of that idea that doing something for yourself is a waste of time.
Yeah, post pictures of your tree. Yeah. I like it. I love Christmas trees. I'm like, yes.
Yeah, make a bunch of cookies and just have fun. It's all good.
Eat those cookies and drink that wine.
Yeah. Preach. Have your own little, Christmas bonanza at home.
Well, there's something about 2020, like the worst year I think we've all ever been a part of. Circumstances, just everything that's went on, right? But there's something about it that's made myself and my wife, we've talked about it, feel a bit more thankful for what we have. And, say we do go into another lockdown, even if it's a small group of people, even if it's just yourself, we can still be thankful for those who are around us at that time and for the things that we're able to have that maybe some others aren't. Because I've had friends, they've lost jobs, and I've had, family members who have been in a bad place because of what's went on this year. So at this time of the year, especially, it's a good time to just be thankful. Right. Mm-hmm. And if your circumstances aren't the best, it's a good time to stay positive because maybe next year is your year. I think it's going to be all of our year. Hopefully it's going to get better. But I think this is the perfect time to just look forward to the future, appreciate everyone around us. And like you said, kind of hunker down, whoever you're hunkering down with, even if it's just yourself, just take some time for yourself. Or like my wife, I need to spend more time with her and just appreciate my dog, appreciate what I have around me this holiday season. I think that's really important, especially in 2020 when, things at this point couldn't really get worse, right? So hopefully they'll get better down the line.
Absolutely. Yeah. Gratitude is definitely something that I'm like constantly thinking about now, which is like, it's, just even the littlest things, are things that you can be grateful for and be like, yes, things to think about and keep positive. Well, thank you guys so much for joining me. if you would like to check out Pop Culture Planet and our guests, you can check out their information below. But if you want to follow KB, Austin, and Rachel, do you guys want to share where everyone can find you? KB, do you want to start?
Sure. So I am on Twitter and Instagram at the Lady KB. It's right here, TheLadyKayb. I post my content there. So, I am a freelancer, so I work with a lot of different outlets, but I definitely post all of my content from those outlets as it rolls out. And then if you want to subscribe to my YouTube through the lens of Lady KB, my YouTube channel, I will post a whole bunch of different things, but there are reviews there. We do some fun things for the Color Grade podcast on there as well. And 5-minute film reviews, which I need to do a whole bunch more of. And so just a few other things. There. So
awesome. What about you, Austin?
Yeah, you guys can find me on YouTube, Austin Burke, just watching literally everything that I can watch at this point, and Twitter, Instagram at the Burkeinator. I also write reviews on Letterboxd is kind of a hobby, but it's kind of expanding into realms that I've never been in before. So I hope to do more of that in the future. But yeah, YouTube's kind of the main place that I'm at.
Nice. And what about you, Rachel?
Yeah, you can find me at Rachel's Reviews, all over social media, iTunes and YouTube. And I've been putting up all of the Netflix and streaming reviews on my channel. But then also make sure you check out the Hallmarkies podcast, where we have recaps of all the holiday films on Lifetime, on Hallmark, everything going on there. We have we did a spoiler discussion with Austin of Dash and Lily. So we just have everything that you could want holiday, and we have interviews. Like we got to interview Robert Buckley that's coming up, so that's very exciting. So check it out, Hallmarkies podcast.
Nice.
Oh, awesome.
And if you're interested in following the podcast, you can follow me pretty much everywhere at KMaldo, or the show at Pop Culture Planet Podcast on Instagram and Pop Cult Planet on Twitter. I just want to thank everyone again for joining me this season. This is the season 1 finale, so thank you guys for joining me here, and we'll be back going strong in 2021. I'm really excited, and if anyone has any, suggestions of topics or guests that you want to come on, leave them below. And for anyone else who might still be joining right now, we're going to answer a couple of quick questions at the end. Anything we haven't gotten to yet, so feel free to throw those in now. And you can watch the live video version of Pop Culture Planet on my channel, youtube.com/kmaldo, and join in on the conversation in real time. And stick around at the end for a Q&A that's not in the audio podcast. Episodes are available on all of your favorite podcast listening platforms, from Spotify to Apple Podcasts. And if you enjoyed the episodes, consider subscribing so you know when a new one is posted. Rate and review this podcast and share it with your fellow pop culture lovers. Thanks for listening. It's been a blast, and I'll talk to you next year. Happy holidays.
Merry Christmas.
Happy holidays.
Awesome. Okay, so really quick, there was just some fun comments that I'll go back to that we missed. Lovely one from Aaron Bondi, who says, I love you, Austin.
Thank you, Aaron. I appreciate that, my friend.
Kieran saying, hi everyone, hope you're all safe and will be appreciating your loved ones during the holidays this year, which I think we all will be. Thank you for the lovely sentiment. We have another comment from Kieran that says 44 Christmas movies. That was in reference to you, Rachel. Congrats. That sounds awesome. That's a lot of movies. I love that you guys both knew how many movies you watched this year. I don't know how many.
I don't. That's why I stayed away from it. I'm like, I have no idea how many I've watched.
I feel like it might be more than normal, but probably still not that many.
I just keep track of it on Letterboxd, so thank goodness for Letterboxd.
Mm-hmm.
But I just keep track of the new movies, so I have seen, even if I'm counting like older movies, rewatched. But yeah, I know, thank goodness for Letterboxd.
Nice. Kieran also says, I used to hate Christmas music, but I've actually grown to like it, which may seem odd. Nope, I think Christmas music is fun. Definitely recommend the Tori Kelly album. And 123 Rock Fan also agrees. It's so good. I literally can't stop listening to it. So if you just love, powerful voices and Christmas music, I think you'll like it. 123 Rock Fan also recommends Amy Grant's Home for Christmas album, which I have not heard that, so I'll have to check it out. Louis Bott says, everyone here is so beautiful.
Oh,
I think it's the Christmas
Aw.
spirit radiating from the screens.
That's sweet.
Thank you.
Yes, I love all the positive
So sweet.
comments.
I do too.
Yeah, it's so nice. Let's see, what other ones did I miss? Orby says, "This is a Christmas gift for me. Love y'all." Thank you. Kieran says that he watched the Star Wars Lego Holiday Special today and he had fun with it. Did you guys check
Good
that one
one.
out?
Yeah, fun movie for sure.
I enjoyed it. Yeah, it was funny.
123 Rock fan also says, "This may sound a little strange, but I love watching Prince of Egypt during Christmas."
Doesn't sound
So
strange.
good.
Do it. Do it.
Yeah,
Right?
That movie so much.
so good.
That soundtrack's so good.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Yeah, I mean, this was 2016. I did my top 50 animated films of all time series, and Prince of Egypt, I think, was number 9.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
I love
Yeah,
it.
that film is so good, and that soundtrack is so good.
Yeah.
Yep.
Kieran, I think, is referring to what Austin was talking about, showing the Claymation movies to his future family and children, and was saying that Kieran's only at the beginning of his rewatch of those Claymation movies, but maybe he'll get tired of them, but he'd love to show them to his kids one day while decorating the tree. That's sounds like a very nice, fun tradition to create. Kieran also says, we all know what classic is A Christmas Story. You'll shoot your eye out, kid.
Yeah, so good.
That's a classic. That's actually one that I feel like I didn't watch that much, but I feel like even now it's still so iconic. Like the scenes, like the bunny outfit or the getting your tongue stuck on the frozen pole and
You'll shoot your eye out. Yeah, that one, it's so funny to me because people are like, "Oh, it's on television too much," and I'm like, you don't have to watch it. You just watch it once.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't want to
turn it off.
You don't have to keep rewatching it just because it's on. That's on you. That's not the movie's fault.
Too funny. Bandit says that Klaus is his favorite Christmas movie, such a beautiful film, and that he thinks that it got snubbed at the Oscars. But that's just him. What do you think, Austin?
Thank you, Bandit. I concur. It's so good. And it got better when I watched it again. So I feel like every time I watch it, it's going to improve. It's just a beautiful movie with beautiful voice acting. I love it. I love it so much.
So good. I agree.
This is a funny one. 123 Rock fan says, "If Home Alone is a Christmas movie, then I think Die Hard is one. Kevin McAllister is more brutal than
I mean,
Not
Kevin
wrong.
McAllister, don't want to mess with him. So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Definitely not." I actually heard, I forget now, I think it was that movie where someone was saying there's a moment where someone's finger gets bit and that they actually broke skin and now that person has a scar.
Oh no.
Because they were just really going hard on those antics. I was like, oh man.
It's acting.
Yeah, it's interesting to watch. I mean, I still absolutely love Home Alone, but it is kind of interesting to watch as an adult and be like, ooh, ouch.
Yeah.
It looks painful. Yeah. Oh my goodness. Bandit also says The Greatest Showman is also a good holiday movie. Would you guys say that The Greatest Showman is a holiday movie?
Is there any Christmas in that?
I don't remember.
I don't remember if it's during Christmas time. Is that bad?
It was released during Christmas, so
So maybe it's one of those. It's just out during Christmas time, so it feels like
Yeah.
a Christmas movie.
I remember. I think he gives those gifts to the girls, but I thought that was their birthday.
Mm.
We'll have to.
Yeah, but hey, it makes you happy. Why? Go for it.
Definitely fearful. That's
Yeah.
good.
I like it. I like the movie. I just never thought it was Christmas.
Yeah. 123 Rock fan says love the discussion. Movie Files. What's up, Elliot?
Hey.
He says,
Hey, Elliot.
favorite Christmas foods. That's a good one.
I love eggnog. So I've been drinking it since early November. So I'll be honest. I love it, and I love it. I don't like alcohol in mine, so I know that's like a weird thing to say because most people want to put their rum or their bourbon in it. I just like it by itself. I drink it as like dessert. That's a weird thing, but I love it. And then my sweet potato pie, I love. And gosh, I love everything. So just honestly, feed me anything and I'll eat it. I like that, like sometimes if I'm celebrating with, prior to COVID, when I was celebrating with other people, I like the fact that sometimes we would just grill steaks like for Christmas. So that's what we did last year. We had like steaks with all the trimmings. We had no traditional food. And then other years, you know, we're like turkey, dressing, do it up. So I love it all.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have every year for Christmas Eve, since our last name is Wagner, we have a German meal, and so it's kind of unique to our family, but we have sausages and potato salad, German potato salad, and sauerkraut. And so for a lot of people probably think that's really weird, but that's what I think of a lot when I think of Christmas. And of course, just a delicious cookie plate. You can't beat that.
That sounds good. What about you, Austin?
It's such a weird thing. So my grandmother used to make these giant, imagine a York peppermint patty, but it's really, really big. And like you have to break it into pieces just to eat. It was my favorite thing growing up. And then, so she passed away last year and no one knew what the recipe was, right? Nobody knew how she made them. And I was so bummed out because she had made them every year up until about 2 years ago. And then going through her house, we found that she actually wrote the recipe to that and then a couple of other things that she made down. So we have the recipe now. This was actually like 3 or 4 months ago, just kind of going through all of her stuff. And I was elated. That was my favorite thing to eat during Christmas. And I just loved the fact that she put a bunch of love in it. So now my mom's going to try to replicate the recipe. So that's kind of one of my Christmas traditions. Yeah.
That's a powerful thing. And I think an underrated little Christmas movie is called Almost Christmas. And one of the elements in that movie is Danny Glover's character is trying to figure out how to make sweet potato pie that his wife made. And you think of the power of when you successfully are able to do that and bring them back and their memories and everything like that.
Aww.
Yeah. Almost.
Oh no, are we frozen?
Yeah, I think we lost her.
Who did? Oh, okay. Yes, I love Almost Christmas. Yes,
really
I love Almost Christmas, and it's done by David E. Talbert, who also did Jingle Jangle. And so I adore that. And also, actually, I forgot to say another Christmas movie that I adore, The Family Stone. Oh, it's so good.
Haven't seen that one.
Yeah, Almost Christmas has a really stacked cast.
Yes, it does. Yeah. It has everyone in that film. And so does The Family Stone. I can't believe you haven't seen The Family Stone. No. That Family Stone has a stacked cast, and it is so good.
Yeah.
My favorite Christmas foods, my family is Puerto Rican and Dominican, and my mom makes a big bénis, like a big pork. I also love buns. Like those, those buns that you get from like, I don't know, what is it, Pillsbury or whatever. And pecan and pumpkin pies. I like to combine it and eat like one piece and one piece and make a giant pecan pie in my stomach. And we also have a comment from 123 Rock Fan who says he loves chocolate covered pretzels for the holidays.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. But it's like Christmas foods. That's such a good like call out because it's like everyone has very different traditions and things within their families that like it's just delicious and it brings you back memories and it's good stuff. Yeah. Oh, were you gonna say something?
Oh no.
Oh, okay. Last quick ones right here. Jesse Medina says that he recommends watching one of the many Doctor Who Christmas specials. He watches them every year.
Yeah.
I will check it out.
Are they doing one list? Yeah, they're really good. That's a good suggestion.
And 123 Rock Fan says Christmas with the Cranks is their ultimate guilty pleasure.
I like that movie. I'll admit. I know it doesn't have good reviews, but I like Christmas with the Cranks. I think it's a fun movie.
And finally, Kieran's favorite is cheesecake for the holidays. So
cheesecake is delicious. So yes, absolutely.
Wow.
Thank you all so much for joining me. Thank you to everyone that commented. Thank you to you guys for taking out the time on your Thursday. Really appreciate you guys joining me. This was so fun. And I hope everyone has a great and safe and happy holidays. Bye.
Yeah, thank you. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Thank you.